Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Dr. Paul from Liberty Hill Comics. This is Noah's copy of Superman number 9. If you've been following this series, we had a book that was covered in tape, basically laminated with tape across here, that wide, all down here, across here, up this side, over here, over here. On the Versa, we had tape all down here and in a couple other spots. It's been a long process, but we have all the tape removed now, and we're working on removing the adhesive. And I've got all the adhesive removed off of this side, and we're ready to flip this so that we can get the adhesive off of the Versa. So for orientation, we're using Bestine as our solvent here. You can also use hexane if it's readily available for you. It's relatively non-volatile, safer to use than, say, toluene, and just as effective, maybe even more effective, because it barely affects your inks at all. It will remove just the tiniest hint of yellow, but visually the comic is unchanged. You only know because if you look at the solvent after you take it off in a bath, you'll notice just a tiny yellow tinge to it. I put it in a little beaker to make it a little easier to handle. And of course, you want to use it in a well-ventilated area. My main tool is this scraper tool, and I have a link in the description for affiliate purchases through Amazon for both this scraper and the Bestine. So, as I mentioned before, this book still has adhesive on the Versa, and this is a piece of Hollytex under it right now. I do not want to remove the two of them until I have adhesive on it, because right now that adhesive is touching the Hollytex. If I try to remove them, it's going to pull paper off of this cover, and obviously I don't want that. So I still want to have a piece of Hollytex under this once I flip it over, just to make it easier to manage and move if I need to. So I'm going to put this piece of Hollytex here, and I'm going to center this piece slightly better than the other one. Again, I can't move that relative to the one underneath, because if I do, will likely tear the paper, because there is still tacky adhesive between them. So I'm going to flip this and center it reasonably for you viewers and for me to work on. And then I'm going to go ahead and wet this whole surface, because I'm just not sure where it's going to be tacky, and I'd rather not try to guess. I'm just working directly on my craft mat here, and I'm using just enough of the Bestine that it's not going to go off of my table. The Hollytex is very wettable, so it wicks that solvent in quite well, and it doesn't want to go anywhere else. It wants to more or less stay in here. All right. Now I should be able to very slowly remove this top layer of Hollytex, and I will do it with an abundance of caution. We know we had tape all down here. I may even use some of my tools and treat it almost like tape carrier. Just to make sure in these areas where I know we had a lot of tape, a lot of adhesive, better safe than sorry. And I did feel a little resistance right there, so I suspect there was some adhesion. This is the other area where I know we had active adhesive, so I don't want to force this. And again, it's similar. I could feel some resistance. Let me go nice and slow. Let the solvent do the work. Get in there. this Holotex safely. So we know we're going to have some adhesive we need to remove there in that area. Let's see now if we have any other areas of resistance. Yep, right here. Blocking the light source a little bit for you, I think, but can't be helped. Yeah, there was tape on this side of the book. We removed the carrier, but there's quite a bit of adhesive left apparently, because there was some resistance there, and there's still some resistance here. And again, I'm sorry that I'm blocking the view, but can't be helped. It's the only way that I think, the only angle that I have where I can safely remove this adhesive. All right, now we want to do it from this side here. Feels like we're going to have more adhesive to remove from this side than we did on the cover. On the cover, a lot of the adhesive came off with the carrier. And obviously on this back side, we have more adhesive left behind. So I know for sure we have plenty of adhesive up in this area. Let's start there. This area was taped for a reason. Here you can see how much adhesive there is, because you can see these little adhesive boogers being rolled up. I want to wet that again. I think I may reposition my light source as well so that I can use my magnification to get in here. So excuse me just a minute while I do that. All right, I think the camera is still focused where I need it to be focused. I hope it is. You note there's a little break here, and the ink doesn't line up properly. It's unclear to me whether there was a tear that was repaired or exactly what the remnants of that is the remnants of. That artifact where Superman's head doesn't line up properly right here and doesn't here, and you see that line should be here, but it's up there. You also note this adhesive, some of the ink is actually residing in the adhesive layer. Notice that the adhesive coming off is a little bit dark, and What is that? Is that paper? Is that another piece of tape? Oh. Is that a replacement piece of paper? Is that what we have here? Or was that tape on top of tape? And this is a piece of tape right here, maybe. But if it's tape, why are we getting dark adhesive off of Superman's hair? We already took one piece of tape off here. I wonder if that's another piece of tape. It may be. I'm going to let that dry. We're going to move on to a different spot. I'm going to work over here where it's more obvious exactly what we need to do. So we definitely have that tackiness here I told you. This similarly, when you look at it, the ink doesn't line up properly. It's almost like there was a piece of tape put down, then it was peeled up, then maybe laid back down, and over time the adhesive sort of soaked back in and somewhat reattached this paper here. If we remove this adhesive, how much of this ink is going to come with it? I don't really know. There's already some frayed loose chunks here. Maybe all of it. Right now, it's preserved here June 25th, 1940, and copyright 1940, and most of the word Superman. I wonder if we want to remove this and risk losing all of that. I guess let's try just a little bit away from the letters and see what happens. So there was adhesive below the word Superman here. Let's see if we can peel it up and the paper stays. Yeah, it looks like we can. Let's try it on the by, yep, and on the Superman, yep. Okay, well, I suppose then that we can come across it like this, very gently. We'll see how that feels when it's dry. I said in the previous video that this was going to come apart when we did aqueous bath, but it's come apart just because we flipped it. And again, like I said, we knew that was going to happen. One thing that I want to take care of here is that we had adhesive here. This little flap has become adhered down. I'd like to free that up if I can without any more loss of paper. And we have tacky areas all along here. If these are gonna, once I separate that, we could actually separate these two from one another and make it slightly easier to handle. And just because we can have a smaller work area, and then we can sort of get in and remove adhesive as we need to. So let's do this, free this up. And it's just so fragile. It's just, you know, not even a paper thickness, right? It's a fraction of paper thickness. There we go. Okay. You stay over there. All right. So we have separation of the two pages. And again, that'll just make it slightly easier to work on, so that's okay with me. I'm going to get a sheet of paper, and we'll slide it under this one and move it out, and we'll focus on this one. This is just a simple sheet of cardstock. There we go. 1/2. We'll just move it out of our workspace, make it a little bit easier to focus on this page. All right. Now, still quite tacky there. Let's do finger touch. Okay, very tacky there. Tacky. Tacky here. Okay here. Tacky there. Fine through here. Okay, so now we kind of have an idea what we're working with. So you'll note that we can essentially see where the adhesive is with maybe one or two exceptions. This is very clearly a square of adhesive where that was taped. Here we have this tackiness, and there's very clearly this is darker. It's so tacky that it's sticking even to this paintbrush tip. This is darker than that area there. Along this edge, this is dark, that's adhesive. Darker here, that's adhesive, darker, adhesive. Some darkness up in here, that's adhesive. Nothing through here, and then back to there again. We have a little bit of darkness like along this edge, but this is where this here is only half a layer of paper. So this is not adhesive. This is just a full thickness paper. This is where the papers had one layer torn off by the tape. So I'm going to continue to work these areas. I'm going to leave that alone for just a moment because, again, I'm not 100% sure we don't have carrier there. So I'll try to just start here and go down this side and come back and work on that. So before I put I'm going to just test and see where it's most tacky. Okay, it's really not so much in this area, a little bit here, mostly there, and then nothing up in here. So from here to here, mostly. And it takes a little while longer to absorb the solvent in the areas where there's still some adhesive. I think you might have seen that. So that helps you pinpoint where the adhesive is sitting as well. Oops. Let's keep this out in front. Okay. What I'm going to do is let that dry so I can come back and do a finger test to see how tacky it is. I'm going to move on to this next section, and I can see pretty clearly it's adhesive from there to there. And again, it's more slow to absorb in the area where the adhesive is sitting. And I'm definitely getting some off of this paper in this area. It's a little bit tacky from there to there. I can see where the adhesive is sitting. It's in a thin line from here down. Okay, and this was the next area that was tacky right here. Again, I have a pretty good visual. It's darker right there. And when I hit it with the solvent gets wicked into the paper very rapidly, but in the areas where there's still a thin layer of adhesive, it just gets absorbed just ever so slightly slower. So if you're observant and you watch for that, you can get a good outline of where the adhesive is sitting just by watching. Okay. Tiny bit right there. Barely noticeable, but it is there. Now we may have to come back and do that a few times, but we definitely removed adhesive from all those areas. Okay, there's still quite a bit of adhesive here, even though, again, I know we removed some earlier. So we'll continue, and we'll just go around it, back and, well, in a circle, clockwise here, until we've been successful removing this adhesive. Okay, and that's a little bit drier than I want to work it. Okay, we'll let that dry and back up here. I don't believe that that is a piece of carrier. I think it is still just adhesive. I'm going to continue to hit it. if I'm wrong, we should be able to catch an edge with our ultrafine forceps, right? Let's see if that's true. No, there's just nothing there. I don't think, anyway. I think it's adhesive. Just stubborn adhesive sitting on top of the paper. Yep. There, it's coming off. Almost like a gel. And it's definitely been on there long enough that it has solubilized some of the ink. The ink has gone into solution, essentially into suspension in the adhesive. So it's left the paper and it's in the adhesive. And that's why as we go across, we're getting these adhesive globs that are dark with ink, and we're getting Superman's hair lightening up. It's not as dark as the blacks around it. And again, there's nothing can be done about that. This tape was put on a long time ago, and if we want to preserve this long term, we need to remove this adhesive, and the ink is already up in the adhesive. So we could be sad about the damage, but we can sleep with good conscience knowing that we're not the ones who did the damage. We're the ones trying to undo it at the moment. All right, I'm gonna let that dry again. We'll see if we need to hit it again. We'll come back over here. Okay, there's a little bit of tackiness here. Not any here, but a little bit here, a little bit here. Similar. All these areas need to be re-hit. With the exception of down here, I think this one's done. So the area here is like that. And again, you see that it absorbs the solvent more slowly in the areas that have adhesive. And it's kind of amazing to me how much you can feel the tackiness from what is really a teeny tiny layer of adhesive. I mean, one of those things that it doesn't take much in the way of a layer of adhesive to make something tacky. And I guess that's why tape and glues and etc. work so well. All right, we know it's tacky there and there. This paper is very thin. It's been folded over so many times. I'm not sure how easy it'll be to remove a little bit of adhesive without removing paper. It's just so pulpy. That's another way to check to see if you have enough solvent before you start scraping. If it's tacky, then there's clearly not enough solvent. So there it was still a little tacky with my finger. getting just dry to the point where it's starting to tack up again. There you go. I think we got a fair amount of that off. All right, and then we decided this area was done being tacky, so we'll look at this area again. Still tacky. Despite the fact that every time we hit it, we've removed adhesive, there's still some adhesive there, so hit it again. As many times as it takes, as long as we're not damaging the paper. Obviously you can see I'm getting a little more confident with my ability to remove the adhesive here without damaging that print. And I'm still, to be frank, I'm still not 100% sure how that print was moved over and we're not wrecking it. That's a little piece of loose paper there. All right, this is definitely improved. You can tell both by the tackiness and also the color is starting to be less of a mismatch here. So we'll just keep at it. Yeah, we'll test over here again. All right, this is still just a tiny bit tacky, but again, much improved, much less tacky. Little tacky, still tacky, still a little tacky. All right, so we still have to hit all those areas again. And we're just going to continue this process. I know this is tedious. I've heard from a lot of you that you want to see every minute of this, though. I assume the people for whom this is boring or tedious, they've tuned out. And the folks who want to see all of it, they're here and they're supporting the channel. So that's why I'm recording all of it. I would ordinarily be spending all this time on this book anyway. It does take me a little bit longer to do it, when I do it on camera, because there's just lighting and setup and other things, and how long it takes my phone to sync with the cloud and all that to worry about. But I'm happy to do it as long as you guys are happy to keep watching. And it seems like you are. This has been a very popular upload series for me. I don't know if it's because it's Superman or because of the detail that I'm doing, because in previous series I would have gone quickly over some of these steps. And in this series, I am, due to some requests, I am going painfully, agonizingly slow through all of it, trying to show you all of it on screen. Whereas in the past, I assumed that nobody would want this unless they were some kind of an insomniac. So again, I appreciate the feedback and the likes and the follows and all the support. But if any of you are wondering why I'm showing you this agonizing detail, that's why. I'm doing it because there seems to be an audience for it, and I've had some requests that we do it, so I'm keeping it up. All right. That said, I do need to take a little bit of a break here. So this will keep just as it is, no problem. I'll pour this unused Vestine back in the container so I don't have it off-gassing here. And I will show you the progress next time. We'll work on the other side of this. Again, the next steps after this, these pages will go from here into aqueous bath to get this bleed through taken care of, to get cleaned up and bleached, and to get this bleed through taken care of. The carrier that I removed, I will have another video where we try to recover any paper scraps off of that carrier that we can. Here is that carrier. Here's all the carrier that we removed. I don't know how much of this can be recovered, but we're gonna give it a go. And then when all that's done, we will do the deacidification of all the interior leaves, and then we'll reassemble the whole book. So hopefully you stick around for this process. It's going to be a long and tedious one, as I mentioned. But again, some of you seem to really appreciate that. So I appreciate all of the feedback and the likes, thumbs ups, the comments, and the subscriptions. So keep them coming. And until next time, take care of one another.